Good day. How is everyone this fine Friday? Fish on Friday, Free For All Friday. All right, so here is, again, I'm going to show you the booklet that I have been reading from, and just so you can get a glimpse of it. And it's called Meet Your Straw Man and Whatever You Want to Know. And it is available on eBay, I think for around $8. Highly recommend that you get this so that you can understand more detailed of what we're talking about here. So yeah, we're going to talk about this today as Free For All Friday. Continue on our journey of knowledge. This is for educational purposes only. I have practiced some of these things, and will discuss with you, as I have in the past, what has happened to me, and why it's important to have courage, perseverance, humility, and the other virtues, okay, love and whatnot. We also need to know what the quote-unquote enemy is up to, and how it is that they can pull the wool over our eyes. And much of the reason for that is because we are not in tune with truth, the Trinitarian Theophany. So the more we become in tuned to truth, the more in the Trinitarian Theophany, the more truths will be revealed to you. Okay, and again, the earlier you begin this truth journey, the more you will understand and learn. So let's get started, because we got a little bit to go over today. Before I forget, I put a link in the description box for today's video of what I'm going to be talking about. And it's not mine. It's not my website. It's someone else's that I had learned from. And I really like it because it's simple. Just like the Divine Family, it's simple. Okay? It's not a difficult, complex concept. The Trinitarian Theophany is love. And I'm getting a scratchy throat already. But as always, let us begin with good rising prayers. In nomine Dei, Patrum Nostri, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Let us place ourselves in the presence of the Trinitarian Theophany, and in Catholic contemplation, humbly venerate the Divine Family. The family is the rock. It's really, if you have that solid foundation, it's very difficult for others to break you down individually, and that's the reason why the enemy is so intent on breaking up the family, and they have succeeded to a huge extent across the world, especially in the United States. And this causes weakness in a country, individually, with courage, etc. So anybody that is looking to begin family, I really, really encourage you to look at Catholic family and how to sustain a Catholic family. Most holy and venerable Trinitarian Theophany, one divine family, I believe that thou art here present. I venerate thee with the deepest humility. I render to thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to thee. O Trinitarian Theophany, relying on thine infinite goodness and promises, I hope to obtain the pardon of my sins, the help of thy grace and life everlasting, through the merits of Deum Iesum Christum et Dea Matronam Nostrae. O Trinitarian Theophany, I love thee above all things, with my whole heart and soul, because thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of thee, and I forgive all who have injured me and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank the Trinitarian Theophany for the many graces that we receive and offer ourselves and our sufferings up to heaven and for the souls in purgatory. O Trinitarian Theophany, I most humbly thank thee for all the favors thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in thy service. I consecrate to thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, that there may be none that is not animated by thy love, or that would not tend to thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good. And let us beg of the Trinitarian Theophany the graces which are necessary to us. O Trinitarian Theophany, thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of thy grace. Deny me not thy grace, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which thou forbiddest, to practice the good which thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please thee to send me. O Dea Matronam Nostrae, I place myself under thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. O most holy Trinitarian Theophany, Deum Matronam Nostrae, Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, I am heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. But most of all because I have offended thee, O most holy Trinitarian Theophany, Deum Matronam Nostrae, Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, who are all good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve with the help of thy grace to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. So, we're going to talk about, let me read this quick portion that I wanted to talk about here in the book, and then I'll get into the personal story that I have to share. So this subchapter here in the book is called Dealing with Debt. Okay, and every one of you knows what I'm talking about here. Because a very high percentage of the money earned being taken away from the average person, it is not unusual for people to end up with what looks like debt. Most people spend their time worrying over the statement of what they are told they owe, and do endless calculations to see if they agree with the numbers which they have been sent. Again, this is the sort of misdirection which magicians use to fool audiences, distracting their attention away from where the action is really taking place. Here, the question is really not how much is owed, but instead is anything actually owed? Okay, now I'm going to stop here, and this is, just wanted to clarify, this is strictly under the system that we have now. Okay, this is under a Catholic monarchy, this wouldn't even be an issue because we don't have debt. We won't have a monetary system based on debt. So this relief that I'm going to be talking about today is under this current system. But it is a way that we need to break free of the chains of this system, because we need to know the truth so that we don't follow the lie. You need to remember that any financial institution is a legal fiction and does not actually exist. That's a pretty powerful statement right there. You have to remember that any financial institution is a legal fiction and does not actually exist. As a result of this, it can only deal with other legal fictions, essentially other pieces of paper. And it can't have any dealings with a man or woman, as they are not legal fictions. Okay, now, men and women move these pieces of paper around, but they don't, they cannot, the paper cannot deal with you, per se. It is also important to understand what passes for money nowadays. Let's say our trusty friend James Martin goes looking for a loan, and he fills out an application form with the Swindle Bank Incorporated for $10,000. Interestingly, the form which he is asked to sign says that he has already received the $10,000, although the loan has not yet been approved. Interesting, right? The next day, the loan is approved, and James is handed a check which he is asked to sign and deposit to his account with the bank. We won't follow up on that very interesting procedure at this time, but please remember that he has now provided 2 signatures for $10,000 in the straw man name, and all he has received is a 1 and 4 zeros in the accounts of the Swindle Bank. All goes well for several months until James loses his job and does not manage to get another one. This is financial trouble which he does not know how to deal with. Time goes by and James has not had sufficient money to make payments against his loan from the Swindle Bank Incorporated. He starts getting letters from the bank saying that he must pay the arrears immediately and keep up with the payments in the future. There is not the slightest chance of that happening, as James does not have the money and he does not know what to do. Fortunately, Peter, the next-door neighbor of James, happens to be an independent financial advisor with years of experience, and James has the idea of asking him for help. Peter is willing to help, and so he sits down and goes through all the paperwork. Then he tells James, quote, "You must not ignore this situation. Write back immediately and say that you agree to pay any financial obligation which you might lawfully owe on the condition that they provide the following. 1, validation of debt. That is the actual accounting. Okay, and we're going to get into a little bit about that it's not just numbers, not just the statement like they've been sending. Verification of their claim against you. That is a signed invoice, not the statement. 3, a copy of the contract binding both parties, you and them, in a letter by certified mail so that there is an independent witness to it having been delivered. That's where the mail comes in. Every letter you write should be marked clearly without prejudice, which means that you reserve all your lawful rights and you accept no contract unless it is shown to be lawful by meeting the 4 essential conditions to a lawful binding contract. Namely, 1, full disclosure. You are not told that you are actually creating the credit with your wet ink signature. 2, equal consideration. They brought nothing of value to the table and so had nothing to lose. 3, lawful terms and conditions. Yours were based on fraud, the banks. 4, the wet ink signatures of both parties. Corporations can't sign because they have no right or mind to contract, since they are soulless legal fictions, and furthermore, no third party can sign a contract on their behalf. Okay, since they don't exist. Peter then tells James that agreeing to provided that evidence of a lawful debt can be produced stops him being taken to court, because courts only adjudicate between parties who are in dispute. And as James has agreed to pay, there is no dispute. So the court would not accept any application for a hearing. If the swindle bank were foolish enough to try, James has only to send the court a copy of his letter agreeing to pay, and the case would be thrown out or dismissed immediately, and the bank might well be penalized for wasting the court's time. The bank is now in trouble, as it has been running a con game on James and on us, and so can't produce the documents for which James has asked. The request by James was reasonable in every respect. However, a loan agreement is a contract, and so there has to be full disclosure of all the details, which there wasn't. Both sides have to put up something of equal worth, which didn't happen. We'll get into that in a little bit. And the contract has to be signed in wet ink by both parties, which the bank can't do. So the bank has a real problem. The bank will probably send a statement of what it wants James to believe is the outstanding amount. James should return this with a polite note saying that a statement is not an invoice. So would they please provide a signed invoice as requested? They will also probably send a photocopy of his loan application form, at which point James should write back and point out politely that it does not constitute a contract, as it is only signed by one of the parties, himself, and he has asked for a copy of the contract signed by both parties. The bank is likely to go silent at this point and stop corresponding with James. James should then write again, requesting that the necessary documents be sent to him within the next 14 days, perhaps 28 days. And if that does not happen, then he will consider the debt to be fully discharged. The bank will either remain silent or write back to say that the debt is fully discharged. If the bank tries phoning, then just tell them politely that you only wish to deal with this matter in writing and hang up. Say no more. Don't get into discussions with them on the phone. If the bank remains silent for the stated period of time, then James should write back stating that due to the bank's failure to provide the necessary evidence of a lawful debt within the reasonable period of time provided, that James now considers that the debt is fully discharged, and ask the bank to confirm that in writing. The bank will normally write back confirming that the debt is fully discharged and there's nothing owing. And if it does not do that, it will just stop asking for any further payments. The reasons for how and why this takes place takes a good deal of explaining, and many people find it difficult to understand. So it is covered in detail in the following pages, which we will cover down the road. Many people think that this process sounds like you ripping off the bank, but this is definitely not the case. All right, so that gets back to what I wanted to talk about, which was the consideration that is required from both parties. And so what is the consideration that we are bringing forth? Well, it is the funds, if you will, or the ability to pay our debts in real money back in 1933. And so that was stolen from us. So what we're asking for is, and their remedy to us at the time in 1933, when they took the gold and silver away as a form to pay debts, their remedy for us was that now we could discharge the debts. Okay, so how did they allow that? And again, it's just all bookkeeping. It's bookkeeping in numbers. How can we say that the bank didn't bring anything of value to the consideration of consideration to the table? Well, so if many of you probably already understand, many may not, but when you or anyone, let's say, makes a deposit of $10,000 in the bank, you bring in your labor-created pay of $10,000, okay, that you worked for. you deposit that in this account at Swindle Bank. Okay, they immediately in their book financial department, in the accounting department, can now, because they keep changing it. It used to be they would be allowed to create another 10,000 in their accounts to loan out. Okay, now it's a hundredfold. It's insane. So you deposit 10,000, they can loan out I don't know what's a hundredfold, 10 million or a million, something like that. And again, they create it on paper. I've been talking with loan officers and mortgage lenders, and they are compartmentalized. They do not understand that this magic that they talk about occurs in the financial department of the bank. Nowhere else. Nobody else in the bank knows about this trickery. So that they can really claim that, no, you're telling me that I'm wrong, that this doesn't occur. When in actuality, that's just a lie that they've been told. When in reality, their bookkeeping will show otherwise. So, let me get to my story now. So I was convinced, if you will, to file federal income taxes so that I could get a refund for my family. Well, it ended up that two of my children didn't have Social Security numbers, and so they denied the child tax credit, which ended up giving me. They corrected my refund and actually turned it into me owing them quite a bit of money. And again, the story is kind of similar. I didn't have it to give them. So, and this is all recently. So I turned this problem over to Dea Macunam Nostra. I said, I don't know how to resolve this. Please handle this for me. And within a few days, a suggested YouTube video came up, which led me to the link that I shared with you today in the description. And so what we have is, it's called a Sesta KV trust that is created with your birth certificate and bond. And I'm not like 100% sure that the process of what I'm talking about is how it works, as far as the creation of this trust and is the birth certificate and how it all gets created, et cetera, et cetera. However, I do know that this trust is created. We are a beneficiary of the trust. We're not told about this trust. And others in these financial institutions, the CFOs and the CEOs of banks and governments, know about this. This is secret knowledge. They know about these trusts. They know how to access these trusts illegally, because all they need is our Social Security number. So like he mentioned in the book, where he had two signatures, one on the check, one on the deposit slip, and one on the loan, could be more than one. Each time your signature is written on a piece of paper with your Social Security number, with a dollar amount, that becomes a negotiable instrument. So I learned about negotiable instruments, and I learned that we can make them up. And I say make them up, meaning we create them with our own paper or with the paper that they give us. So the IRS sent me a bill, and at the bottom of the bill is a cut-off coupon. It says, fill this out, send this with your payment. Well, it turns out that coupon can be made into a money order, and you can access the funds that you have in your Sesta K trust through the trustee, which is the IRS or a bank. I'm sticking with the top banana here, the IRS, because they're an accounting firm in essence. They balance the books. That's what their job is. So I sent them the created money order with an order for them, the IRS, to pay the United States Treasury from my Social Security account. And I say Social Security account because it's the number, the Social Security number, is used as a number to access the Sister KV Trust. And that was a month or so ago. Just last week, I checked my transcript on the IRS, and it is now, for that one tax year, it is now 0. And I didn't get any letter or nothing. People were just saying, just keep an eye on that, check it, you'll see, they'll credit. I looked and I printed out the transcript and they credited the account. That's the only thing I sent them, was this thing. I did not send them anything from my bank. I did not send them cash. So I'm going to wait and see, because I have another tax year that I'm waiting to see what they do, and it's about to come. They're going to do something. They're processing it. I can see where it says that it's in processing, where before it said that I owed close to $9,000. So now it's in processing. Before, so 2 weeks ago, it showed that I owed this. A week ago, it shows that it's in processing. And the only thing I did was send in this coupon payment. So really quickly here, some people that I've talked to about this, those who are ignorant to truth, think that I'm going to get in big trouble. Okay. However, I've been studying this for 15, 20 years, and I know what negotiable instruments are. I know what tender of payment is, and I know what House Joint Resolution 192 in 1933 did to the people. And again, this is the United States, but there's similar stuff in other countries. They have to follow the laws that they created. These are their laws. This is our remedy. So we follow it. They didn't tell us this at the time because they didn't want us to know about it. It's plausible deniability. You know, they said, well, we gave you the remedy. You know, I don't know what you're so upset about. So now we're finding out how to access the trust as a beneficiary. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. This could be really, really huge as far as freeing us from being their slaves, and which we were never meant to be. The remedy was there for us in 1933 so that we wouldn't be slaves. That's the only way they could pass this law back then, for them to steal away our gold and silver in order to make payments, which was constitutional, the only constitutional way back then. So again, I urge you to get this book. I don't urge anyone to go jumping into it until you've mastered the terminologies and the definitions and the understandings. Because if they return something to you and ask them what you did, you have to be able to explain it. I was talking to, like I said, a lender mortgage broker in the family, and he thinks that I'm in deep trouble, that I'm committing bank fraud. And it's funny because I'm not dealing with a bank at all. Okay, this is a note, just like a Federal Reserve note is a note. It's not money. Just like a promise to pay from a mortgage, which we went through it together with him. He actually, explained to me that they do write on the back of them, pay to the order of the actual note. So they created a negotiable instrument out of your promise to pay their mortgage payment. And he still couldn't see. So when you're blind spiritually, there's other things that you're blind to as well. So I was debating whether or not to get this out, but it is important. I think all of you need to start to understand all truths that are out there and discern this, okay? And, you can send me an email if you have some questions, but please get the book first and read it through, and then study the link that I showed you without doing anything, okay? And we can talk more from there. And so I apologize. This went long, and I do have to possibly take my son to get his driver's test today. So that's a whole nother story. But one really quick thing. I do have redacted things that I can send you that I sent, and I will keep you posted up to date as to what occurs. Again, courage, lack of fear. Okay, when you know you're doing something right, there's no fear there. One last thing. When it comes to when you think you're ripping off the bank, in actuality, you are helping the country, and I'll tell you why. What is the national debt right now? Over 36 trillion. It might be too late, but for every, let's just say, the 10,000, I sent them a money order for 10,000. That 10,000, okay, comes from that trust account, but it is also removed from the national debt. Why do I say that? Because we are the creditors for the country's debt. Okay, so once we start getting paid back, then the debt goes down. It isn't just owed to the Federal Reserve or the World Bank or whatever. It's owed to us as well. That's why the debt is so high. We have to start having ourselves paid back so that the national debt comes back down. If we continue to pray the rosary and this Mass, like I was talking to Mr. Nobody yesterday, this peace without war will happen, and we will be able to take back and move and transition into a Catholic monarchy, get rid of this whole bogus system, and basically have peace in a Catholic society and world. So that's our goal. With 350 subscribers, it's a big thing that we have to get to. All right, I have to get going. Let's get started. Deum vobiscum et quoque apate. Oremus. O Trinitarian Theophany, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one God, one Trinitarian Theophany, forever and ever. Susci pedeam Patrum Spiritum Sanctum hoc immaculatum hostiam, quam ego indinius famulos tuos offeriti videum eum vivum et verum, pro inimicibus peccatis et offensionibus et negligencies meis, et pro omnibus circumstantibus et pro omnibus fidelibus catholicorum vivis ac de fonctis ut mihi et idis proficiat salutem. Deum qui humanae substantia dignitatem mirabilitur contradicit mirabilis reformasti da nobis peruius atque et divino mysterium eius divinitatis esse consortis qui divinitatis nostrae fieri de notices partaceps Deum Iesum Christum Filium qui ticum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Offerimus tibi Deum calicem salutaris tuum depacandis clementium ut conspectu divinae majestatis tuae, pro nostra totius mundi salute, cum adoris suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis et in animo contrito, suscipiam rate Deum Iesum Christum et sec fiat sacrificium nostrum, in conspectu tuo hodie, ut placiat tibi Deum matronam nostrae et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Veni sanctificator, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, et sanctificite blata prosequendo, et accepere hoc sacrificium tuo sanctum nomini, praeparatum, suscipe Sancta Trinitas hanc oblationem quam tibi afferimus a memoriam passionis, resurrectionis et ascensionis Deum Iesum Christum. Et in honorem Deum matronam nostrae, et a Papa Peter Sanctorum, et Istorum et omnem Sanctorum, ut idis proficiat ad honorem, nobis autem ad salutem, et idi pro nobis intercedere, dignentur in caelis, quorum memoriam agimus in tedis, pedendum Christum Deum nostrum. Orate, ut meme questum sacrificium acceptabile fiat op Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipiat Deum Iesum Christum sacrificium de manibus tuis et laudem et gloriam nominis sui ad utilitatem quoque nostram, totiusque ecclesiae suae sanctae. Deum vobiscum, quoque apud te, sursum corda, habemus ad Deum. Gratias agamus Deum nostrum, dignum in justum est. Te igitur clementes me mater et pater, Deum matronam nostrae, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per Deum Iesum Christum Filium tuum Deum nostrae, supplices rogamus et petimus, ut accepte habeas, et sanctificas haec sanctam sacrificium irribata. In primis quae tibi afferimus, pro ecclesiam tuam sanctam catholicam, quam pacificare, custodiri ad honore, et regere, digneris toto obre, terrarum atquae catholicae. Memento Deum famorum tuorum. We pray for the sick and the suffering. We especially pray for Katie, Gage, Neil and Earl Lively, Maria Josephina Mose, Mark Jr., Henry, Barbara, and Benedict Santa Croce, Casey, Mr. Nobody, Anne Botink, the Cantu and Duarte families, Michaela McLarnon and family, Jenalina Laurie Aaron and family, Maria and the Lineweber family, the Cahill, Kendrick, Dasco, Kane, Nye, Tafour, Began, and Wolf families. And we pray for TIAC. We pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sede Vacantis Catholic Council office in Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanctioning of abortion, transgenderism, transhumanism, child trafficking, child abuse of any kind, anywhere, place, or time. We pray for the establishment of a Catholic monarchy with a sound Catholic system of labor, human value, and medium of exchange. We pray for courageous men to step forward as leaders of this Catholic society, to recognize truth and to follow truth, and not what man says. We pray for wisdom on how to manage small farms, to grow food and raise animals and share with our neighbors. We pray for the elimination of all harmful radiation waves in our air and in our homes. And we pray to close all gateways and portals and send all demonic entities back through them that have come. We ask for the conversion of all sinners trapped in a state of mortal sin, especially the ignorant. We ask to block any ideas of pandemics and treaties by the WHO, which is based on lies and aimed at removing the divine family's children's freedom to move and travel. Fear, we pray to eliminate the fear of unseen creations by the WHO. We also ask you to save or transfer the souls from under the dominion of any Jew or Freemason, and to help them and give them strength and courage. All these things we ask in accordance with the Trinitarian Theophany's holy and divine will. Et omnium circumstantium quorum tibi fides cognita est et nota devotio, pro quibus tibi afferimus, vel qui tibi offerunt hoc sacrificium laudis pro se suisque omnibus, pro redemptione animarum suarum, pro spe salutis et calamitatis suae, tibi qui redunt vota sua aeterno Deum vivo et vero, communicantes et memorantes in primis gloriosae, semper Deum maternam nostrae, et de Deum Iesum Christum, et beatorum martyrium tuorum, Papae Sancte Petri, et Sancte Luci, et Sancte Jacinta, et Sancte Francisco, et Sancte Juan Diego, et omnium sanctorum tuorum quorum meritis, praecibusque concedas ut in omnibus protectiones tuae muniam exidio, per indum Christum Deum nostrum. Quam oblationem te Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibus consecratem acceptabilem quae feceri dignitis ut nobis corpum et sanguinem fiat delictissimi filium tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam pateretur recepit panament sanctus ac venerabilis manus suas, et elevatis oculis in caelum aete Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum sum omnipotentem tibi gratias agens. Consecravit, fregi didique lumis sui dicens accipite et mandocati ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simili modo postquam ceremonia est accipiens et hunc praeclarum calicem in sanctus ac venerabilis manus suas, item tibi gratias agens Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, consecravit didique lumis sui dicens accipite et vivite ex omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei mysterium fidei, quae pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissionem peccatorum. Haec quod est cumque feceritis in mem facietis. Unde et memores Deum nos servitui, sed plebs tua sancta justum Christum filium tuum Deum nostrae, tam beatae passiones nec non et event fedis resurrectionis, sed et in caelos gloriosae ascensionis afferimus praeclare maiestati tuae de tuis donis ac datis, supra quae propitio ac sereno vutu respeceri digneris. Supplices te rogamos Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, iube hec per fidem manus tuum ut quod ex hoc autaris participationis sacrosanctum Deum Filium tuum, corpus et sanguinem sincerimus, omni sanctificatione caelesti gratia Dei per amor periendum Christum Deum nostrae. We pray for those who have died. We especially pray for Eva Dasco, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibum, in Christum quis gentibum locum refegeri lucis et pacis odore est debra amor periendum Christum Deum nostrum. Per quem hic omnia Deum Iesum Christum semper bono creas, sanctificas, vivificas, consecratis et praestas nobis. Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso est tibi Deum Matrum omnipotenti in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Dea matronam nostrae, gratia plena Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum. Dea matronam nostrae, matram Deum Iesum Christum, misericordia nobis peccatoribus nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos quaesimus, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, ab omnibus malis, praeteritis, praesentibus et futuris, et intercedente beate, gloriosa semper Dei matronam nostrae, cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis da propitius pacem in diebus nostris, ut ope misericordiae Tuae aduiti et peccato simus semper liberi et ab omni perturbatione securi. Per eundem Deum nostrum, Iesum Christum filium Tuum Deum nostrum, qui tecum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum, Iesum Christum, sit semper vobiscum, et quoque abote. Haecum extio et consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum, fiat excipientibus nobis in ad salutem aeternam. Pax tecum, et quoque abote. Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum matronam nostrae, cooperante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem Tuam unum vivificasti, libera me per hoc sacrosanctum corpus et sanguinum Tuum ab omnibus iniquitatibus meis, et universis malis, et fac me Tui semper inharare mandatis, et unum cum separare permittas, qui cum eodem Deum matronam nostrae, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum vivis et regnam aeternam. Perceptio corporis Tui Deum Iesum Christum, quod ego indignus sumere, praesimo non mihi proveniat in judicium et condemnationem, sed pro tu pietate prosit mihi ad fundamentum mentis corporis, et ad me delam percipiendam qui vivis et regnas cum Deum matronam nostrae, in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Panem celestem accipiem, et nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Deum matronam nostrae non sunt dignos, ut intercedete meis in tanto de verbos nobis anima mea. Deum Iesum Christum non sunt dignos, ut intercedete meis in tanto de verbos nobis anima mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum non sunt dignos, ut intercedete meis in tanto de verbos nobis anima mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Quid retribum Deum Iesum Christum pro omnibus quae retribuit mihi, calicem saitaris accipiem et nomen Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabo. Laudans invocabo Deum matronam nostrae et ab inimicis meis avocero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet animam tuum. Quod ora sumptumus Deum Iesum Christum piedamente capiamus et te munere temperae fit nobis remedium sempiternum. opusum Deum Iesum Christum quod sanguis quam potavi, et heriat vis geribus meis, et praesta ut in me non remenia scela macula quam purat sancta reficerunt sacramenta. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apud te, oremus. May the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids. We beseech thee, O Trinitarian Theophany, that thou mayest free them from all sins and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one Trinitarian Theophany, forever and ever. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apud te, ite mise est. Deum gratia. Plagia tibi sancta Trinitam obsequium subitutis meae et praesta ut sacrificium corporis tuae maestatis in illus obduritivis et acceptabile mique et omnibus pro quibus idut octolicite miserante propitiabile per Christum Deum nostrum. Sanctificat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum, Deum Matronam Nostra et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, gratias. O Trinitarian Theophany, I believe, I venerate, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not hope, do not venerate, and do not love thee. Most Holy Trinitarian Theophany, I venerate thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of Deum Iesum Christum present here, in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended, and through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and the immaculate heart of Dea Matronam Nostrae, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Dei Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. Thank you for being here. And hello, Peter. How are you? Thanks for listening. If you have any questions about what I went over, like I said, study the link that I put there, and try and put your mind around the whole concept of money that doesn't exist, and that we are working in a world of debt and discharge at the moment, and we will get rid of that when the Catholic monarchy is established. And in the meantime, though, we do have a remedy, and that's what I have discovered. I didn't create it. I didn't really, Dayam sent it to me, and for now, it's appropriate and it's working. Let's see. I have a couple other plans for it to see, so that, for example, if you have a car loan, okay, remember they're getting paid when they deposit the loan instrument, and then for the full amount, and then also when you pay it back plus interest. So they're getting over 2.5 times the amount of what the agreement was, and they didn't provide anything but what some depositors had deposited. It's just it's a wrong system. So we should correct it. We should be prosperous, and I'm not promoting the prosperity doctrine. So please don't confuse that. Um, there's suffering along the way. Trust me. Okay, but when you accept that and then you give, that's the Trinitarian Theophany will relieve you for what I think is for us to do ahead. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Please go and sanctify all those who you meet. Have a great Friday. And again, Friday, Fish on Friday. Let's see if I can remember this week. I am so bad at that. So please pray for me. Take care.